Are you getting tired of FM24 and need a new and different experience to get you through until the next version of Football Manager? Well, here are 5 of the weirdest save ideas in Football Manager to spice up your Football Manager gameplay. But you're going to want to stay tuned for the final way to play Football Manager, because it might just be the weirdest way of them all. And the first weird save idea is the Football Manager anti-save. In this save idea, you start off as the manager of some of the world's biggest teams, such as Manchester City, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, or even PSG. And once you become the manager of your chosen team, your job is to do everything you can to destroy the club. This means going through and destroying the club's finances, ruining the infrastructure of the club, making terrible transfer decisions, and getting rid of the squad's best players. All done with the intention of getting the club relegated from their division. And the point of all of this is that you have to go through and destroy the club without getting fired. So this means that you have to lower the expectations of the club slowly. This means making the right transfers, putting the club in the right financial position, and finishing around the right place in the league, all so that you can destroy the club without getting fired. And the question is, how long can you continue to destroy the club for before you end up getting fired from the position? The longer you can stay, the more successful you are in this type of save idea. And this is actually a save that we have done before on this channel on the Destroying Man City series in FM Anti-Save. And funnily enough, did you guys notice that in Zealand's most recent save idea video, this was a type of save idea that was featured on there?
How quickly can you destroy your least favorite club? Take Manchester City and try to see how quickly you can get them relegated to the Vanarama National League.
The only difference was in his save idea, they're trying to destroy the team as fast as you can. But in this one, you've got to stay with the club as long as you can without getting fired, which I think makes this save idea just all the more insane. I do wonder though if Zealand saw that series. Zealand, if you happen to be watching this video for whatever reason, hit me up, man. Let's collab. That'd be awesome. For save idea number 2, it's going to be about building your save around a specific player or a specific position. And this is another save idea that we've previously done before on this channel. Previously, we did a whole rebuilding Manchester United episode completely around Antony, and everything was done to make the most out of Antony. And all the way back in FM23, we built a whole save idea around how could we get the most goals out of a goalkeeper in an effort to break the goalkeeper scoring record. And funnily enough, other Football Manager creators are doing this as well. Omega Dad and Omega Luke just did a rebuild around Ronaldo and Messi. So there are also other versions of this type of save as well. So for example, you could take over your favorite team and then do an entire save around your favorite player on that team and build up the team so that that one single player ends up having the highest ratings or scores the most goals or does the best in the save. For example, one of my favorite players is James Ward-Prowse, so I could potentially take over West Ham and play for set pieces and build a team around finally getting James Ward-Prowse that free kick EPL record. But another version of this save that you could do is building your tactic around a specific position. For example, you could build a really narrow tactic, but build it so that the fullbacks are the stars of the show. Maybe you could add things like overlap on the right and left and focus play down on the left and right. You could even go into a fullback's individual instructions and have them take more risks, shoot more often, dribble more, all things in an effort to make them play their absolute best. And maybe in this type of save, you continue to get better and better fullbacks or whatever position you're looking for, and the save ends when a player from that position wins the Ballon d'Or. I will say this type of save is one of the most fun ways I've had in playing Football Manager, so I definitely recommend it. And the third save idea for this video is doing the Glory Hunter Challenge, but not in Europe. So the premise of the Glory Hunter Challenge is taking 5 leagues in a certain region and trying to win those leagues, domestic cup competitions, and a continental competition. And this is something that you don't need to do in Europe. You can do this in any continent or region and just build a Glory Hunter challenge around that region. So, for example, right now I'm doing a Glory Hunter challenge in Asia. So I have all of the Asian leagues in Football Manager loaded, and we're playing through Asia's top 5 leagues, domestic cup competitions, and winning the Asian Champions League. Another example is I think Tom FM right now is doing the Viking Challenge, which is essentially just the Glory Hunter Challenge in the Nordic countries. You could even do this in North America, you could do this in South America, and you have to win the Copa Libertadores as well. And I suppose you could do this in Africa as well. It's just that for some of the different type of continents, you might need to go into the pregame editor and load some leagues to add to it. Which, if you've never used the pregame editor before and aren't sure how to load in new leagues, we have a tutorial for that, which I will add somewhere on the screen here. But of course, this doesn't even need to be just specific continents. You could even go down to certain regions as well. For example, in Asia, you could do specifically a Southeast Asian Glory Hunter. Or in Europe, you could do a specifically UK Glory Hunter across maybe England, Ireland, Scotland, etc. And in North America, FM has Canada, Mexico, and the US, but you could certainly add in new leagues to get some Central American countries in there too. So even though the Glory Hunter Challenge was originally built with Europe in mind, you can absolutely expand this to other countries, regions, and continents to make the most out of your Football Manager experience. But this takes us into save idea number 4, which is to rebuild a club that is not the one you're managing. Maybe you've played Football Manager enough to where once you get to the point where you have this kind of overall balance and this kind of financial status, the game might just get a little bit boring for you. But if you're not ready to put down the save yet, and you still have players in your squad who you'd like to see develop, you just don't really need to sign new players, try rebuilding a different squad in your country. For example, I might be the manager of Man City here and have all of Man City's resources, but then I might funnel all of those financial resources into a team like Chesterfield and try to get them promoted through the leagues until we've given them so much money that they're in the English Premier League and fighting against us. Or you could try this with an affiliate club, a club where you might be able to financially benefit them or send players between teams, and you can mold their squad and their finances to help them be the most successful club possible. This is actually another save idea that we've done before on this channel, and we have a part 1 and a part 2, and we did this for 10 seasons, and it was a lot of fun. It's one that I definitely recommend doing. And then before I get into the 5th and final weird save idea, I do want to shout out some of the honorable mentions for ideas that I would love to do, but I think might either be too difficult to do or too weird. First is what I'm calling the anti-meta attribute save, where you can only sign players based on their physical attributes. So all of these physical attributes here, but for all of those attributes, the maximum they can be is 10. And you have to win with a team that has some of the worst physical attributes in the game. Next, if you have friends who you play Football Manager with, you can do a journeyman save, where you pass the save along and play one season of the save, passing it along after each season to a new friend, and then you can see where your manager ends up. This is another save that we're doing on channel. And by the way, if you would be interested in picking up that save, there will be a Google form in the description. And if you respond to that Google form, you might have a chance to play one season for that save. And on that same note, if you play with 2 or more people, you could do a director of football / head coach challenge, where one of you guys acts as the director of football and the other person acts as the head coach. And one person plays the off season and does all the transfers, and the other person plays the season and trains and plays the matches. And it'll be interesting to see if your guys' philosophies line up with each other. Another option would be to play Football Manager Among Us, where multiple people are controlling the same team and you have to figure out which person is actually trying to destroy the team. That's kind of like bringing in the destroying a big club challenge too. And the final honorable mention is what I'm going to call the old player challenge, where you can only sign players who are above or equal to the age of 30. And you have to win a league with some of these older players in your squad. And the question is, could you build a team of only players who are above the age of 30 and win the league with them? And without further ado, the final weird save option on this list is to play Football Manager in a different language. And to play Football Manager in a different language, you can go into your preferences. You can then type in language. And when you type in language, you can then choose the data and game language that the game is played in. There are a number of different languages that you can play in Football Manager, ranging from Danish to English to Spanish, all the way down to Korean, Japanese, and Mandarin. And this is actually something I've done on the channel before, and I changed everything to Spanish, and it was the most fun I have ever had playing Football Manager, was trying to navigate the game in Spanish. And it's really interesting because then you kind of have to relearn how to navigate the game. And if you have a really good knowledge of Football Manager, you can kind of figure things out, such as things as where the inbox is, where the squad is, and where your tactics are. You also have to use your knowledge of the players to figure out what all of the attributes are. Because attributes are done in alphabetical order, so if it's a different word in a different language, then the order for how those attributes appear might be different. So for example, I think I can figure out that this is penalties and this is first touch. But as far as things like finishing and corners are concerned, I'm not totally sure. But that is all the fun in it. And if you're trying to learn a new language, then this might be a good way to do that. Or if you're just trying to figure out a new and fun way to play Football Manager, this is a good way to do that. I've even thought about doing a journeyman save with this, where I change the language of the game depending on where I'm playing at that moment of time in the journeyman. And it'll be really interesting because it would force you to be more deliberate about the jobs you choose, and it will give you a new challenge every time you end up at a new country. The only thing about this is make sure that you have Google Translate up, or at least that you're playing in windowed mode, because you will need to go back into the preferences and change the language back to your first language. That way you can play regularly when you want to do that again. Now the question is, language in Spanish is idioma. And now I can go through and change that back to English. But anyways, those are 5 of some of the weirdest save ideas in Football Manager. If you guys have any other ideas that you would add to these, leave them in the comments because maybe someone will see your save idea and it will inspire them to try something new in Football Manager. But until then, I hope you all have enjoyed this video. I hope you all are taking care of yourselves and doing well, and I will see you all next time. Bye!